It's the pinnacle of our sport. It's 1,000 miles in the Arctic Circle, the absolute middle of nowhere, 18 hours on, 6 hours rest, 5 hours sleep at max. It doesn't get harder.
Yukon 1000 is pretty much the pinnacle of kayaking sport and endurance racing. It completely takes out the sort of natural ability you have, and it purely makes the race depending on how badly do you want it. And then you've got 10 days to complete it. Again, you don't have much time sort of to sleep or much time to recover. So it is purely how good are you at functioning whilst sleep deprived, functioning whilst cold, functioning whilst hungry. It is the ultimate test of mental endurance.
Yeah, being the youngest is daunting. It's a half house for us, really. We have more gumption, desire and fire in us than any crew on that water. And that's a lot of it down to our age. But the other side of it is we have less experience, less time in the boat, less time in the wilderness than any other crew on that water. And we've really got to understand that going into this. It's, okay, what do we lack? First of all, what do we have to make up for just in the way that we behave? So it's really risk control, being careful with everything we're doing, understanding the wilderness around us, the environment that we're in, and just trying to get our way through this race in the cleanest way possible.
The Yukon 1000 originally came up from Ben and I's desire to do the Dividers to Westminster challenge, which is 125 miles and done in the UK. We were originally going to do it in 2025, however, through some injuries, specifically Ben's knee injury and my shoulder injury, we decided to put that off until 2026. On our lead up then to the Dividers to Westminster in 2026, we decided to sign up for something called the Yukon 400. And after a long chat with my dad when I'd brought Ben over to my home to have a chat about it, my dad sort of told me to go big or go home, and why don't we put in an application for the 1000? Ben hears the word 1000 and just goes, I like that. Puts in an application and magically we get an interview. Magically then we get a spot, and then it's all sort of led up to this moment now.
So excited. This is like a mammoth race that we've been prepping just over a year for now, and we haven't stopped. Our minds haven't wandered. All we've been thinking about is that finish line 1,000 miles later. And yeah, it's daunting, but we're just excited. We want to get on the water. We know what we have to prove.
Most important to getting to the start line, I would say, would be logistics. There's so much that goes on this sort of race behind the scenes. So that's whether that be flights or accommodation or certain types of insurance. There's a lot logistically that you don't really understand until you get involved with the race. However, I think what the most important part of it has been, almost the more enjoyable part of this entire event, has been able to meet so many people through the kayaking community, and whether that be through sort of the lead-up races we've been doing or making friends in an entirely new sport, it's been honestly really, really valuable for us to have such a good group of people around us who've all been really, really interested and sort of motivated us to get to the start line.
So it's been a mammoth operation just to even get your head around not only 1,000 miles, but 1,000 miles on the Yukon River. It's a completely different scenario to anything that you could know outside of the Yukon. So I think the biggest thing we've been fighting is the river never stays in one state. So it changes yearly with the freeze thaw of the glacier flow and the sort of winters that they get up there, because it gets bloody cold. So the river completely freezes and then it thaws and it unfreezes, and you're left with an entirely different operation. So it's mapping that, it's satellite imaging constantly, understanding the terrain that you're going to, where are you going to be stopping at night, where are you going to be feeding and fooding, and what point are you even going to be in the race, because you have no idea what the river's going to be doing. So yeah, it's been a lot of checking the flow levels, checking the wilderness around us, and just really trying to understand what is such a huge concept.
Luxury item. I mean, I think we've managed to bring more than one, I think is the honest answer. So I think one of the luxury items which Ben and I especially had missed out on when we did the Great Glen back in December was seats. So it's almost cushions basically for the boat. Because after sitting in a boat for 10, 12 hours, 14 hours, it's not going to feel nice sitting on a hard plastic seat. So I think we've definitely lucked out with sort of our choice in kit, especially for sort of the general seat. And then the other big thing I'd say that we've sort of lucked out on is MP3 players, which I mean, I've never known that they still made them up until the other week. But we've managed to get some really, really nice MP3 players so that we can at least have some music whilst kayaking for 18 hours a day.
To be honest, It's our heads. More than anything, it's just that mindset, the understanding of where you are. You lose your head, you lose your race, you lose your perspective on where you are, and that can be really dangerous. So no matter what, we've got our equipment and we've got everything that we're relying on, but it's what's operating that at the end of the day that just needs to be functioning perfectly, and that's our heads.
I have been informed that on average you burn between 7 and 10,000 calories a day, which, to put that into context, a kilogram of weight is about 7,700 calories. So per day you could be expecting to lose maybe about half a kilo, and that's with 6,000 calories of food eaten a day. Our best bet for water and for food is get something warm in you in the morning. So we're gonna have some boil in the bag food, which we're gonna set over a stove in the morning, and make sure we do that whilst we're packing up our tents and everything, and make sure we have some hot food in the morning. And then a lot of it will just be eating on the go, whether that be you have your stove on the kayak and you're heating food up on the kayak, or if you have some extra bits that you can throw in your cockpit. It's going to be a little and often. So it's a war of attrition on eating your food. It's how much can you get in and how consistently can you be getting that extra 50 calories, 100 calories, which can hopefully sort of power you on for the next hour. It's going to be a lot of eating, and water again is just as important. The best thing about what we have is we have a filter that can work whilst we're in the kayak. So we can be filtering as much water as we need the entire race, pretty much from next to our cockpit. So water will be easy to get, food will be a little bit harder, but I think we've got a good plan for how we're going to be eating, and I think we can expect to lose maybe 4 or 5 kilos.
At its core level, the days are very simple. It's 18 hours on, 6 hours off, and that is something we've regimented for from the very beginning. It's long days, short nights. But within that, there will be moments of sort of high energy bursts. So getting into camp, for instance, we will be shifting simply because if we're going to expel a lot of energy, it's going to be to get into bed, to get to sleep and get recovering as quick as possible, because sleep is the most important thing in a day, more the amount of effort that you're putting in on the water. Because you're going to be putting in effort on the water, but you're not going to be able to sleep like that unless you have everything in line to be able to do that. So for us, it's getting into bed, and that will be the central point of our day, really.
I think the best way to manage fatigue is with our prior experience. I think Ben and I have pushed ourselves beyond what we believed was possible during our lead up, and we've done Devizes to Westminster, we've done the Great Glen, we've done days here, we've done up to 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers in a day. And I think we've managed to get ourselves accustomed to the idea of fatigue, and it's now knowing that every day you wake up, every day that you get out of your campsite, it's one day closer to getting to the finish line. It's one day closer to sort of achieving what Ben and I have been dreaming about for the past almost year now. So I think fatigue ultimately, whilst it will be there, yes, Ben and I have to understand that we've been building up to this for a year. We're not going to let fatigue get in our way, and we're not going to let anything get in the way of us getting to the finish line.
The wildlife is there to be enjoyed, respected, and just admired, if anything. Bears are sometimes cited as an issue, but to be honest, if you really understand the wilderness around you and the race itself, bears are not the problem, we're the problem. If we're not doing our bear parameters right, if we're not setting up camp properly, we are going to be attracting bears, and that's going to be on us. We're in their habitat, and it's not for us to say there's bears around. It's, okay, why are we attracting bears? What are we doing wrong? So the wilderness is to be admired, it's not to be feared, as long as we're sort of going about it in the right way. In terms of the actual remoteness of the wilderness, yeah, that's a scary prospect, especially when you think about what that does to you mentally. When you are thousands away from any sort of known habitat, hours away, if not days, if not unable to reach any sort of contact or any emergency whatsoever, yeah, that gets to you. But I think it's just, again, understanding the privilege, understanding what lies ahead of us at that finish line, and working through the problem.
The emergency plan is, firstly, it's down to your judgment. If one of us becomes injured or one of us isn't sort of thinking straight, it's down to the other person to treat it as if it was themselves and treat it how they would like it to be dealt with. If the boat gets damaged, we've got a backup plan for that. We've got emergency stuff to put the boat back together and make sure that it's still watertight. But ultimately, it becomes very much your own personal decision of, if one of us gets injured, can you go on? You have to communicate. You have to be respectful to the other person as well. You can't just tell them what's going to happen. You have to understand that it's their decision as well. If they think they can't go on, then they can't go on. But I'm not worried. I think we've both drilled it into our heads that whilst obviously this is a race and obviously we want to do the best we can, there is a certain level of safety that we have to complete, as the only thing worse than not being able to do the race would be getting pulled out of the race halfway through. We've done a year to get here, and the safety is going to be top notch for that race. There is no way that we are not going to finish this race.
It's something you can't necessarily prepare for, especially at our age. We've lived in a connected world for our entire lives. There hasn't been a moment we haven't been able to reach someone we know, love or care for in seconds. So I think for us, that is a prospect that definitely is the unknown. It's okay, what are we going to be like when we haven't seen or heard of someone else for up to 8, maybe 10 days? It's turning over a new leaf, and it's a tough one to mitigate for when you're training in the confines of the UK and you have a busy life ahead of you. So yeah, being off grid, it's a new one for us, and we're excited to see what happens.
Daily distance targets changes depending on what the river's sort of suggesting at the time. The first day, you're going to go over Lake Labage, which is, I think, twice the length of Loch Ness. And it's a lot of stagnant water. Obviously, there's not going to be much stream. So the speed we're going to be holding on day 1 will be very different to the speed we'll hold on day 2 or day 3 or day 5 and day 6, where you hit something called the flats, which again is a bunch of meandering rivers which split up, which therefore also divides the ultimate stream that you can get, so you get less of a push. The ultimate idea is that we'll aim to do between 125 to 150 miles a day. Obviously, some days it might be a little bit more, some days it might be a little bit less, but that's our aim. And I think as an aspirational target and as a safe target as well, I'd say 7 days is something that we're going to aim for and something that we're absolutely gun for. And if we can get it done quicker, then that'll be brilliant. And if it happens a little bit slower, then, you know, everyone has to go through the same conditions as us, so I'm not stressed.
You'll see a load of different responses to this, and I think it will say a lot about the teams that you're racing. Some will gun it off at the start, whereas others will sort of take it nice and easy, they'll break into the race. Where we'll be, we'll see. I'm yet to find out how I feel on race day. But no, it's such a big endeavor that it's quite surreal watching the start, because you just walk up to your boat and you get along with it. And that's really the spirit that we want to carry through the whole thing. It's let's walk up to our boat and let's just do it.
However much we've achieved already, I think we've already done an incredible job, and I think we've already been successful in what we've done. My personal success will be that I've managed to achieve what I told my grandparents I would, as I managed to tell both of them before they passed that I was going to be partaking in the race, and being able to look back and just make sure that I've not told them any sort of lies or porcupines or anything. You know, I've made sure that I've made sure I fulfilled everything I told them. I think that would be the thing that makes me the most happy at the finish line.
Yeah, I think it would be the ability to look back and go, we said we'd do this for our grandparents, and my God, did we do it for our grandparents? I'll be going for a blank slate. I don't know what will be going through my mind, but I'm hoping it's absolutely nothing. It's just focus on what I have ahead of me. No noise, no distractions, just a blank slate in which I can work on and develop through the race.
I think for me, I'm hoping something similar. Ultimately, you never know what's going to be at the start line. Ultimately, your competitive mind might kick in and you might decide, right, why am I not at the front? Or, right, how quick am I going? And am I being, you know, is this a good speed for me to be going? My aspiration would be that it purely becomes a focus on the race. As we put so much effort into this, to even get to the start line, 99% of the logistics have already been complete. So my aspiration is just focused and ready and just kayaking as we've been doing for the past 8-10 months, but we'll see on race day. You never know.
It's got to be a thank you more than anything. Roger was the first set of ears we ever pitched this to. Outside of my mum and dad, Roger was the first person that I said, this is what we're doing. This is what we want to finish it with, and we want to do it with you. And for some reason, you, Roger, said, yeah, let's have it. We were completely unqualified, had nothing to back ourselves with, like literally nothing but a smile and a suit. And you're either a great person or a horrible businessman. you said yes. So thank you, Roger. It means the world to us, and we're going to repay you with blood, sweat, and beers.
My message to Roger would be that first day we went down to sort of the Night Maverick headquarters and we had a chat with Roger, and that feeling of being ecstatic once we sort of walked out the door and both Ben and I had turned to each other and gone, we've done this, like he wants to be a part of this is incredible. And the support that you gave us and the support that he decided to show us, or just even sprinkle it in there, was just such an uplifting motivation for this entire journey. We wouldn't have got off the ground if Roger hadn't decided to sort of get involved.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful for sort of all the help that Knight has given us, and also for the incredible watches. Honestly, these things have been bulletproof the entire time
I love
we've been using them.
I absolutely love my watch.
These things have been absolutely bulletproof the entire time we've been using them. And, you know, with timing being such a key point of everything that we're doing, everything has a cutoff point, everything has a sort of time that you're aiming to do. The fact that these have been so bulletproof in pretty rugged terrain has been not only a show of like, the watch's capabilities, but also the show of Roger as a businessman, knowing that we'd be the best people to put them sort of to their paces.